The beautiful city of Leh is the gateway to the Himalayas, with a beautiful high-altitude desert right outside that we're going to explore today. However, things are going to take a turn. I am today in Leh, and with that, welcome back to the freemilesmc YouTube channel, and I am so happy to not be in motorcycle gear today, because Leh is basically the first big checkpoint of the India trip, and the riding here was so intense with all the traffic, the stuff that we already saw of the Himalayas, and now being here at this height. I'm currently getting used to the height here. However, there are a lot of things to do for me here in Leh. I and my friends Niels and Stefan will have to organize new bikes because of some rules in Leh for the rest of the Himalayas, and also just explore the city, because from what I've seen until now from Leh, the energy here is really special. So let's get on the road and get some breakfast after I enjoy my coffee and see what Leh has to offer. So I'm right now making my way into Leh. Leh is really high up in the Himalayas, so it's good to get used to the height here. And also one thing that is really quickly noticeable here, there are a lot of motorcycles and a cute little dog. Hello. Yeah, there are a lot of motorbikes here, and that is because there is a union that controls the rentals for motorbikes. Basically, bikes that are rented anywhere else in India can't go up the rest of the Himalaya roads because the season here for them being able to rent out the motorbikes is so short. Because with it being this high, you can guess that you can only do this maybe for like 3-4 months. Back in the day, Leh used to be a big center of trade, and now it kind of is the starting point for all the trekking routes into the Himalayas. And there are also some really nice historic buildings, and it's really closely connected to Buddhistic culture, and there's also a big temple. Yeah, so let's explore. And I'm also curious to get myself some breakfast, because I am just a bit knackered from the last few days and looking forward to just sitting down and having a coffee. However, they're not just rental bikes here in Leh, and just look at this really beautiful custom Royal Enfield. What a great bike, and all the respect to the people that ride the normal bikes all the way into the Himalayas. Here, an Interceptor 650, I have the same bike. It's just great seeing people take the bikes that they drive every day on an adventure. I did the same and rode my Interceptor up to the highest, most loneliest point of Bosnia, and it was just such a great experience. Also, while I was in Leh, there was the Ladakh festival, which was just wonderful to see with all the dresses that they had and all the red clothes. It looked so fascinating, and I really enjoyed the atmosphere here. So I'm now making my way through the tiny little alleyways here in Leh, which are so nice because you have so many little shops here on the side, and I'm currently walking around to pick up a fragrance from the Himalayas for a friend of mine who's a big fan of different fragrances, and a scarf for my girlfriend. And it's just so fun to explore the city, just see what's around me. So nice. I'm struggling a bit with the height. You can see my lips are bloody because the high altitude makes the skin really dry, including the lips. That is a bit of a struggle. But apart from that, I'm doing fine. And we're actually about to get a bit higher on the motorbikes, because Leh lays in a high desert here in the Himalayas, and I'm now going to explore that with the Himalayan 450. But first I need to make my way back to the hotel through the beautiful alleyways of Leh. Even though I enjoy my time on the Himalayan 450, I'm kind of jealous of people who ride bikes like this. And I think the next time I'm in India, I'm definitely going to rent one of those bikes and make a tour on my own. And I think that's the proper way to do it. I went into this little market to look for fragrances, and I got genuinely surprised because I found a really good perfume dupe of Tom Ford's Noir de Noir and some solid fragrances. With the shopping done, it was time to explore the high altitude desert. At first glance it seems absurd, but right outside of Leh, in the high Himalayas, with Leh being at 3,500 meters, there's the highest cold desert. Going up from Leh beyond the 4,000 meter mark, the weather here is harsh. When the sun is out, it is incredibly hot. I was sweating so much, and once the sun is gone, it gets cold really quickly.
Steffen, brauchst du Hilfe? Jo, komme. Auf der Höhe ist scheiße mit umgekipptem Motorrad, ne? Ja.
At this altitude, you literally feel every step, especially uphill, which makes lifting a motorcycle quite difficult alone.
So we now have the great overlook over Leh. You see the town over there. Back there in the background is a small monument, but I don't think it's a monastery. We will check that one out in a second. It's just so amazing to have this gorgeous view over the mountains and be so high up. And even though Leh is already pretty high, to just look over it.
So even though Leh is quite far off the beaten path and really high, and with all its beautiful old buildings and culture, you still can get a really nice coffee here with a nice piece of cake, which I'm now doing for my little break before continuing to explore the city. After exploring the high altitude desert, I made the decision to go out on my own and have a look at the Shanti Stupa. That's the really impressive building you maybe already a few times catched in the background. Arriving at the stupa, it was genuinely impressive how many motorcycles rode here and just the view over Leh. And in general, the places of worship at the stupa were so beautiful and also had such a special feel to them. And of course, there was the stupa itself.
So I'm right now in front of the Ladakh Shanti Stupa. This is the building behind me, and you're only allowed to go around it clockwise, similar to the praying motion with the clocks that they have here. And it's so impressive to see, especially with this light. And it's one of the places where Buddha's relics are stored. And
It is a place that was built for peace and harmony, and just what a gorgeous building. You can walk around the top layer of it. I'll be doing that now and put the camera away for that, and you have to put your shoes off to do that. Yeah, but a really, really impressive site, especially when considering that we have the rest of the view here from 3,700 meters, I think, with the mountains with the snow on it and the sun setting right over that mountain. Really, really nice.
With that, the day in Leh came to an end, but the next morning things are going to get off the rails.
So I'm right now here at the highest moto cafe, and we still haven't managed to organize behind the scenes bikes that we can take through the Himalayas with the rules of the union. And we kind of went here because we hoped that someone from maybe Rhinefield, because they have an event here soon, will be here, because all the stores today are closed in the city because there's a huge protest. And that's where our next problem comes in. It could be that Leh is not safe to stay in right now, and we can't really leave because we're on the other side of Leh. And if you see behind me, you see smoke over the city. And that's because protests there turned violent, and protesters set a government building on fire. And yeah, we need to now figure out how to get bikes and also how to get out of Leh, and how to do that safely. And that will be a bit of a wild ride, most likely, because there are a bunch of Indian people here, and usually when something goes wrong, they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, everything will be fine, and none of them give the that will be fine vibe right now. So yeah, let's see.
Just moments later, the owner of the cafe got called by the police that he was supposed to send us home because the city is on lockdown and no one was allowed to go outside anymore. And the situation was actually quite serious. So now back at the hotel, and the vibe is a bit tense. You can hear everyone being on the phone. This seems to be a first time situation for Leh. The situation basically is that the state Ladakh in India, a lot of people there are unhappy about how they're ruled from the government in New Delhi, because they apparently don't have a lot of possibilities for own democratic process, and that leads to more and more unhappiness, and that unhappiness is now showing how unhappy they actually are with stuff in the city being on fire. We're constantly hearing like loud explosions in the background, and police told us to stay inside, and cars are racing down that road, ambulances the other way. That's kind of how it's going. Luckily we're on the motorbikes, but yeah, we will most likely now have to pack our stuff and then basically wait out, and if stuff gets worse, then get out as quick as possible. Niels and Stefan are right now trying to find a way to the roof to kind of have a look at how the situation is. That's kind of how it's going. It's of course throwing a bit of wrench into the organization of the Himalaya trip. We need to see what we can still do, and also, first of all, I think it's the most important thing now is to ensure our safety. So we will be focused on that, and also there will not be any recordings of the protests because I'm not getting close to that shit. Seems pretty wild. Yeah, I hope everything will be fine. This is a recording of the building that we saw burning in the distance. We've been following what was going on from the hotel over the phones, and it was pretty wild, to be honest.
So we're now exploring the city a bit, while everything is completely empty, as you can tell. You can hear some sirens in the background. We're basically in the part that should be safe. But as you can see, nothing is open, and there are only a very few people running around here. Yeah. Also, all rental bike places are closed, and from the looks of it, they will be closed for a few days. So we now need to see what we can figure out. Yeah. So the situation must have calmed down a bit. There are no loud explosions anymore in the background. However, we're going to leave Leh tomorrow, And this leads to a few issues because we cannot get a bike that can go to the touristy areas of the Himalayas because all stores are closed and they will be for a few days. It's also still a bit critical if we will even get out of Leh, because right now you can't buy food, you can't buy anything, you can't buy gasoline. A lot of the recordings of the protests today will most likely be deleted off of YouTube because we already heard some advice to definitely not be posting anything about this. And see you guys in the next video. Definitely like and hype this video, and in the next video you will see if we can make it out of Leh.